deliver the wealth of effect. Dr. Serene, as most of us know, is an eminent and much loved senior consultant in breast oncosurgery at the Indraprastha Apollo Hospital, New Delhi. She is also the co-chairperson of the Forum for Breast Cancer Protection. Dr. Serene, over to you.
Thank you, Sushmita. Good evening, ladies, and I hope there are some men amongst us too. A warm welcome to you all from all of us at the Forum for Breast Cancer Protection. We are a registered NGO dedicated to spreading awareness about breast cancer and the vital importance of early detection. The NGO is functioning since 2001. All members are voluntary and devote their time and advice because they all feel for the women and their precious lives. The NGO has produced 5 groundbreaking films. The first film was A Guide to Breast Self-Examination. The film very simply explains a woman how to examine or look at their own breast. The second film was We Can Defeat Breast Cancer, where voices of lots of survivors are there. And the third one was Voices of Strength and Courage. And the fourth one was Join the Crusade Against Breast Cancer. And we also produced a film for the gynecologists because that's where the women come first and they should be taught about breast self-examination or looking at their breast and the early signs and symptoms. The NGO has also done many car rallies, traveling through villages and distributing pamphlets and lecturing and making them aware. We also lectured extensively to the corporates, associations like Rotarians, schools, colleges, and RWAs. On the 4th of February, which is the World Cancer Day, and in October, the World Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and 8th March, the Women Empowerment Day, which is now being celebrated by the NGO. The NGO pushes in a lot more effort in the print media, in the visuals, magazines, and newspapers. But in spite of all this, women still do not know early signs of breast cancer. What to tell you about a Delhi University lecturer that I saw a few days ago, I saw a woman today. She is very well placed, very educated, 79, very well dressed, and pretty well off from a family, had a lump in the breast for 3 months. And I asked her, why did you come now? And she said, I felt a small nodule in my breast 3 months ago. I thought it was nothing. It increased in size. Then also I didn't tell my relations or my daughter-in-law, my daughter. And now it's increased to 5 cm. And so I am impelled to tell my daughter-in-law. You know, this is the story that we hear every day. Fortunately, she didn't have lymph nodes, but this Delhi University professor had stage 4 breast cancer when she came with liver metastasis. And I saw her today and I'm so sad that I think we are losing her. So a precious life are being lost because women do not know what is early signs. So when we asked this woman, she said, Madam, I was so busy with my family and my career. I had no time to look or read about any issues. Leave the cancer and leave the breast cancer. I had no time. So is it time that we wake up and we should also look at our own health in addition to our families and our career is what we should be discussing. But Indian women are too embarrassed to look at their own breast and to discuss about their own breast. And we keep telling women, it's a very beautiful part of you. You must admire it. You must look at it. You must save it in case God is going to give you cancer. You should be able to save your breast. Also, we are conditioned right from the time we are born that we have to get married. and we have to look at our families first. So I think the world is changing, and we women should change. And today is the day, which actually brings me to the topic of today's discussion, that a woman's family must always come before her career. Is that what we should be doing? Or should the career come before your family, or your family before your careers, or two are equally important? It is this dilemma that still surrounds every one of us every day of our life. We want women who are listening to the debate, please write your quotes in the chat box, and we may be able to put them on the Facebook whenever we put this video on the Facebook. Today, we have invited 4 women of substance to speak in our debate. 2 will speak for the motion and 2 will speak against. And now it's time. I think I'll request our MC, Dr. Sushmita Sen, to start today's exciting debate. But before I finish, I do want to request you that this is a voluntary organization, and if you feel like donating to the NGOs, the address and the bank details will be in the chat box. Please do that if you have time. And now sit back, relax, and listen to these amazing debaters that I am excitedly looking forward, and to our chief guest for her kind words, Meena Upadhyay. Sushmita, please take over from here.
Thank you, Dr. Serene. The question facing this gathering today is simple, but many layered. Should a career woman put her career first or her family first? It's rather ironic that such a question is never faced by men. But before we launch into the debate, I will invite Dr. Bhavna Avasthi to take the mic. Bhavna is Senior Oncologist and Vice President, Medical Management at Syneos Health, and an Executive Member of the Forum. Over to you, Bhavna.
Asia's largest coding competition for women. Welcome, Ruchika, and thanks for accepting this role for our event. Our second esteemed judge is Amit Jain, the founder of the social enterprise, Mitti Ke Rang. Now, I bring to you the life story of a young girl born in Modinagar in the year 1946. After completing her graduation in Delhi University, she reached Wales after an arranged marriage, expecting to lead the life of a housewife. Instead, her husband Krishna encouraged her to study at Cardiff University. She was unfortunately widowed a few years later when Krishna died of a heart attack in his mid-30s. This young lady chose the harder life of working 18 hours a day, pursuing a career in genetics as a single mother rather than returning to her family in India. Her research career focused on many genetic disorders, especially neurofibromatosis type 1 and facioscapulohumeral muscular dystrophy. She was involved in identifying the genetic mutations responsible for these 2 diseases and developed tests to aid in the diagnosis of these and approximately 20 other genetic disorders. As a researcher and scientist, she has made pioneering discoveries, authored more than 200 scientific articles, and written 5 books. She never dreamt about success. She worked for it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are indeed fortunate to have Professor Meena Upadhyay, OBE, as the chief guest for today's event through the debate.
Thank you so much, Bhavna. Amazing, 4 amazing women. Mahima Bhatnagar Tyagi, Namrata Murthy, Pragati Sharma, and Shilpa Banerjee. Different walks of life, different lives. Let me introduce them to you. Our first speaker today is Mahima Bhatnagar Tyagi. She has broken the male-dominated field of civil engineering, really a male-dominated field. She is a civil engineer and a project management expert. She's at the top of her profession and is currently working as business excellence expert at JK Lakshmi Cement. She believes leading is everywhere. What a quote. She's mom to her two daughters, and she loves to cook and travel the world. Mahima will speak for the nation. Mahima, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
A woman's family must always become a career. Okay, I start with a story. A few days back, me and my husband, with my two little daughters, were playing in a beautiful park around 8 o'clock after work. And I saw my neighbor's daughter playing all alone in another park corner. I called out to them and asked them how they were doing and who brought them to the park, because both the girls were less than 10 years old and nobody was with them. The elder of the two replied, "We came alone because mom and dad had not returned from work and maid locked the house since she had to go to the other house for the work." Hearing this, I was taken aback and felt a little terrible for the girls. They had no water to drink, nothing to eat, even sanitizers, which wasn't very pleasant. I brought them home, left a message with their mom to pick them up from my house and let the girls enjoy with my two daughters. This incident got me thinking why parents sometimes get a little reckless after leaving their kids behind when they work. I was in fact shocked to read the statistics, which said 54% of the women are responsible for scheduling their kids' activities and only 20% are responsible for disciplining their children. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I, Mahima, would like to assert that a woman's family must always come before her career. Empowering a woman is empowering her children, family, and community. The most intelligent investment we can make is in women. Women must have freedom and the possibility to decide what they want. But in this choice making, women must not forget that life is all about prioritizing and striking a balance between work and family. A woman's most significant strength lies in her independence. Independence of knowing the finances, family planning, and decisions that define her freedom. Women are the only beings on earth which are gifted to be able to give birth. Women, and this is an asset. You know, we must realize this as a responsibility for their kids, if they have any actually. By fulfilling their needs, knowing about the kids' psyche, and tackling the kids in the best possible manner. Well, we women often believe that we have to give up entirely in one sphere of our lives to be truly successful in the other, or even worse, that we can have it all. We can indeed have it all, just not 100%. One can't be a full-time mom and have a full-time job together. That's completely impossible. However, if you are a great employee 80% of the time and an awesome mom 80% of the time, you have won. This is what truly happens to get happiness by choosing the middle path. Since women are the sole pillars for the families, they may need to focus on the families because of dire circumstances in some situations. In contrast, she may need to focus on her career to support her family in other cases. We must view life as a constantly changing and demanding one where situational decisions may be required, not the one which you make the single decision and stick to it regardless of the circumstances. I'll elaborate this in terms of childcare. Though it is a developing nation, India still lacks the basic amenities for women in some of the backward regions. If I share some stats, in corporate sectors, 18% of the women extend their leaves after 6 months of official leave for the childcare. In fact, even I did, and almost faced a loss of 5 to 6 lakhs in their annual incomes. Why? Because there is no scope for extra leaves available to women. Men's parental care leaves are also offered in these changing times, but unfortunately, only 8 to 9% of men avail these leaves. Thus, for a woman at this critical point, it's her baby first, then her career. Further, as per research, mothers don't regret these steps. Mother, 90% of working moms who have either reduced their working hours or taken a significant amount of time off from their work say they are glad they did so. I'll conclude with my mother's example, who is also in an administrative position in the Ministry of Health and Women Welfare India. She also had a similar experience of having 2 little daughters and traveling from one half of Delhi to another half, taking care of our food and requirements, and leaving us in the crèche. I really don't remember a day when she had given us money to buy food from outside, or we got scolded from school for not finishing our homework. Not just my mom excelled at work, but also as a mom in a workplace because of her dedication. She is my inspiration and an iron lady who has set a solid foundation for bringing up brilliant and the most exemplary children and pass on a legacy to my younger sister and me. For a woman, nothing is impossible because you are a mother and have a family of your own. You are really alone you're never alone in your thoughts. A mother and a woman can juggle between anything but not compromise with their family needs and requirements. When I received this invite to speak on this forum and this topic, I just remember one line which mentioned that lives of those women with breast cancer would have been saved if they detected early. And drawing parallel from it, I would just say time is an irrepressible asset. It is more valuable than money in today's fast-paced competitive business world. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. Be sure that you spend your time where it matters most to you. Hence, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to quote in the end, all the women in the house today, I say with conviction, you can have it all. A loving and a devoted husband, beautiful children, and a career of your own together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Namrata Murthy, and Namrata will be speaking against the motion. Let me introduce Namrata to you. She is a master's in computer application and has worked in the industry for over 17 years. After various stints, she has been with Seniors Health Clinical for over 12 years. She has broken many records, developed many systems. She lives in a joint family, which is her primary support system. She lives with her sisters, brothers, and as she says, Her nieces are her cheerleaders. Fluent in both Kannada and Marathi, I'm sure English and Hindi. She loves reading, traveling, and recently yoga, I think, for the last 4 years. She's also actively involved with the NGO Ekal Vidyalaya. Over to you, Namrata.
Thank you so much, Vanita. Is everybody able to hear me okay? Okay, great. Thank you. Hello and a very good evening to everyone. So today I'm going to be presenting my views against the motion that a woman's family must always come before her career. And I would like to actually start this conversation by asking a simple question. Why should anyone that worked hard to achieve a good education, a good job, and a good life prioritize anything over their career? Now, would we have had a Jacinda Ardern, who's the Prime Minister of New Zealand, a Indira Nooyi, ex-CEO of PepsiCo, a Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, MD of Biocon, or a Sania Mirza, if they had not taken charge of their careers to realize their true potential? Now, my co-debater Mahima laid out some great points about the traditional roles of women, and most of all, of a mother and a homemaker. And while I appreciate the importance of each of these, I also want us to acknowledge that in glorifying the role of a woman in our society, we've also made her seem invincible, a superhero, and that is far from the truth. Now, when was the last time that you heard a woman make any demand for her own well-being? Now, more often than not, you will not hear a woman do that because they're supposed to be strong and resilient, right? So, for providing for her family's needs, she's always sacrificing her own joys and aspirations in the process and prioritizes her family. This culture of glorifying the sacrificial aspect of womanhood has led to women being put on a pedestal while erasing the fact that ultimately she's a fallible, simple human being, just like every other person in her family. And this is exactly the problem that I want to highlight today. It's time that we challenge this societal construct where we continue to categorize men and women in traditional roles of women at home and men in the workplace. Because one reality persists. Women most often are the ones who adjust their schedules, make the compromises when the needs of their children or their family members collide with work. For a woman who surrenders to this conflicting demand and buys time with her family at the cost of her career, the bigger setback comes when she has to return to work. In a fast-moving world, keeping pace with changing technology, addition of skill sets does become difficult, and it leads to dwindling self-confidence for the woman and also hampers the reintegration to the workforce. So a career break sometimes might become a break in career eventually. So we have to acknowledge that while getting more women to participate at all levels of management is an economic imperative, and most organizations are trying to adopt equitable practice for gender diversity, we as a society need to understand how we want to bring about equity in the roles that are played by men and women in the family system. Now, even though women equal or sometimes even outnumber the men in the paid workforce, they still do most of the domestic work and the child care. And if they are not doing it, they are passing that chain of command to some other women. So it's a maid, a cook, or whatever. But at the end of the day, it is still a woman doing that job. Now, because of the pandemic, children were out of school and most of the non-critical workers were working from home. So it is not a stretch to expect that the men had started doing more housework and childcare during the pandemic. Now, this is a drastic shift in the traditional division of household responsibilities. If you are aware, the 8-hour day labor movement states that every person in the workforce requires 8 hours of work, 8 hours of rest, and 8 hours of leisure. So isn't it time that we gave that right to a woman as well? Now, many men during the pandemic started working full-time from home for the first time, and they got a front row seat to the daily demands of running a home and caring for their children. They also got a crash course in learning to balance work and family that women have been trying to do for ages. Now, the presence of more men sharing fully domestic duties for an extended period of time has the potential to create a sea change in gendered norms. When men genuinely enact equal partnership at home, they become enablers for women, and it also accelerates gender equality at work. And this happens in three ways. First, women with equal partners at home are more successful at work. Because when people are less concerned with the impact of their job on family responsibilities and are able to focus and commit more fully to their work, it's no surprise that they are more productive. And just imagine they are able to take more advantage of the growth, travel, and advancement opportunities that they have at work. Secondly, when fathers are equal domestic partners at home, they role model equity for their children. Mostly daughters with dads who do their fair share at home are likely to pursue their career aspirations, and often in less conventional occupations with more self-esteem and self-reliance. Whereas sons who see their father role model equity, equal partnership at home have a more democratic perspective of men and women and their roles at home and work. And finally, if you look at the workforce, men who are sharing equal unpaid work at home aren't afraid to ask for and talk about why they need flexibility in their work schedule. When only a woman requests to use flexible work arrangements like paid sick leave, parental leave, the perception becomes that these policies exist solely for women. And this creates a stigma and deters men from using it. When men lean into truly equal partnership at home, they tend to use the flexible work policies, and this normalizes it for everyone. Like they say, there is no time like now. And this pandemic has created a golden opportunity for men and women and their families to start considering how to intentionally lean into each other and be a better ally to their partner at home and at work, so that neither of them has to prioritize one over the other. And maybe we can entirely do away with the notion that a woman's family must always come before her career. And with that, I would like to conclude my discussion and hand it over to Vanita. Thank you so much, Vanita.
For the motion is the young, dynamic Pragati Sharma. She is pursuing her law degree from Indraprastha University. It's got a strange story. An only child, Pragati lost her father and then her grandmother at the age of 14. Undaunted, she continued to work hard in various spheres. She has conducted youth parliaments all over the country. In fact, she is also a gold medalist national level debater 3 years running. No mean feat. She dances, and she has even modeled for a Noida-based brand. Over to you, Pragati, for the motion.
My heartfelt greetings to everyone present in the meeting today. And I'm so overwhelmed to be a part of such an intellectual crowd. Thank you so much for such a heartwarming welcome, ma'am. I'm going to speak for the motion on the topic, a woman's family must always come before her career. I'll start with a very beautiful Sanskrit shloka. Atulam tatra tattejaha sarvadev sharirjanam. Atulam tatra tattejaha sarvadev sharirjanam. Ekastam tad bhunnari vyaptalokatriyam tvisha. Which means that the incomparable radiance that was born from three gods and pervaded the three worlds came to one place and took the form of a woman. A woman, a Shakti without whom even the ultimate truth, Lord Shiva, is incomplete, hence the name Ardhanarishwar. Let's talk about her power today. Her power to nurture, her power to balance out life, and her power to guide you back home. As C.S. Lewis has rightly said, that a homemaker has the ultimate career, and all the other careers are there for one purpose only, that is to support the ultimate career. The beginning can be made by explaining the importance of a family and career. While the former is important for social stability, the latter is important for financial stability. But the balance between the both is what is the most important. And I strongly believe that any woman who wants to take care of the family or be a homemaker is as successful as any other woman who wants to attain great success in her dream job. And I strongly disagree to the thought that feminism and women empowerment are at all connected or mean promoting a woman to pursue a career, because it's not that way. We have heard that a woman is behind a man's success, but a homemaker is behind any individual success, let it be a woman itself. But the problem is that we are scared to be labeled as a homemaker, especially the young girls in these forward times. The thing is that we have to have the knowledge of the privileges that we have as a mother, a daughter, a sister, and a woman. Now, why family before career? Because I believe that career is just a part of your life. Career cannot be your life. A family, fulfillment, happiness. And only a family can give you that aura and that that affinity where you want to run back home after a busy day. I heard this quote which says, family should be a safe haven, it should not be a battlefield. And uh, because the world outside is harsh enough, and only a woman can make you understand, make a man understand the value of a family and love and affection. Now I will talk a little about my life as an example. I am and will always be very proud of my mother as she's a successful teacher. But the point is that after after my father passed away, my mother had no option but to work. Now I want all of you to look at the world through my eyes for a moment, where I as a child has to suffer. How? I would like to tell you that sometimes I have some emotionally sad days where I want my mother to be present at home when I go back, but she had no option and she is not present. So, to all those who still have this option open, please, I request to give priority to your family, give priority to your child. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's very difficult for children to share a mother in this race of career. Now, if I talk about career, it's never too late to build or rebuild a career, but it can be too late to have a child. And once there is a child in the equation, you know what happens? It's very important the active participation of a mother in a child's life. Because what happens is that if you don't give that active participation, what happens is the child there is many possibilities where the child becomes attracted towards anything where they are getting the attention from, and it can be very, very harmful in the long run. Because after all, a woman is the only person who can bind it all together emotionally with love and affection. Now, as I'm the youngest one speaking for the motion, I want to talk about a very important topic which is connected to my generation, that I see a lot of younger generation people solely connected or being career oriented. They don't want to get married, they are fine in live-in relationships, and if they want to get married, they don't want to have a child, they are running and quitting away from responsibilities of a family. Isn't it setting up a bad example, or won't it finally you know won't it finally be bring or create a disbalance in the biological setup of the society? Now, as I belong to a law background, I would like to mention that I see a lot of separation cases these days, and I'm so sad always to see the children suffering at the end. Why? Because none of the parents want to compromise on their independence, but they're ready to compromise on family. And hence, I say that women should keep the family as a priority. So, ladies, I want you to realize that it's the high time when we know that we are born for a special purpose. We have the healing touch, we have a soft heart, and we are the ones who can actually make a house a home. And once we realize it, we will see a lot of many, many happy families and thereby many happy society. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Done speaking.
I said, thank you, Pragati. Thanks so much about the Nari Shakti. We are all strong women. And our last speaker for today, who is going to speak against the motion, is Shilpa Banerjee. She is Senior Vice President, Consumer Operations at Bank of America, North Carolina, USA, and is joining us from there. I saw her the first one logging in, probably thinking the time gap or whatever, she shouldn't miss it. She has many firsts to her credit. She has created award-winning programs when at GE. She has been responsible for 3 patents. Shilpa is named amongst the top 100 women of influence. She also has a beautiful daughter called Srishti and is actually a Six Sigma black belt. Wow, Shilpa. So over to you, Shilpa, against the motion.
Thank you so much. A woman's family must always come before her career. I was reading this line and shaking my head and saying, sounds about right. After telling women how to dress, when to come home, what to eat, how much to smile, how much to talk, let's also tell them how to work. Let's tell them how to balance life. Aren't you tired of the labels? Aren't you tired of everybody telling women what to do? I am. I'm exhausted. And so today I'm very happy to speak against the motion. Let me start by saying that I'm a student of Gita. And in Gita, we say that the highest calling for every single person is to become the best version of yourself. And you do that by developing every talent that you have to the full potential. You need to make small decisions along the way. It's not one big thing. It's like small things here and there. You make a decision, you decide, you navigate your life. And this is the grace that I want to give to women. I want to give them the space to make their own decisions. Because you know what? Every journey is different. We heard from 3 different people and they gave examples, and everybody's journey is different. Why can't we trust women to make these decisions? Yes, they are Nari Shakti. Why do we have to lecture them like kindergartners on what they must make a priority and what they should do? Can't we trust them to make those things and support them when they make those decisions? And before all of you are sitting out there and saying, oh, but what about family? Do you not like family? I think family is sacred. I feel family is sacred. But I think men need to contribute, and women and children and grandparents. And I also want to say that family is sacred, but let's go beyond our blood relatives and say that's all that family is. To me, our neighbors, our friends, our co-workers, our community, our society, it's all family. We come from a culture where we believe it's Vasudev Kutumbam. And if that is true, then let's try to nourish and grow and make sure that everybody around us in this interconnected family is flourishing. Why are we drawing the line at like me and mine, right? This is one of the biggest problems. Women need to contribute in all these aspects so that we can have the healthy communities. We can try and change some of the things that have been handed down over ages, and that really limits women in terms of what they can do. It actually comes down to time, right? We heard so much about time. What about time? You know, for time, quality is much more important than quantity. It's not about being at home and being distracted and running around with these devices and kind of saying, I'm paying attention. No, you're not. When you're there, be engaged, be present, be mindful. That is what more important. Make that connection with anybody that you are with your family, with everybody. Let's do that versus saying, I was there all the time, but you didn't make a single connection. Then you're being there, honestly, doesn't matter that much, my friend. I believe in empowered women. I believe in really strong women. But I think to be really strong, you have to know yourself. You have to know your strength. You have to know what makes you happy, what makes you tick. You know what? Even when we go to an airplane, what's the first thing they say? Please wear your own oxygen mask before trying to help others. My dear ladies, please take the time to make yourself a priority. We heard right at the beginning that is one of the things that's not there. So yes, whether you're a homemaker or you're at work, learn to become strong. And that strength can come from many different places. That strength can come from your work. That strength can come because you're developing a talent. But make that time for yourself and become really strong, because as you become strong, you become that force of nature, which are tasked to talk about. In conclusion, I would say, I really want to give women the chance to steer their lives, whether or not they work, and their careers. I want to give them kindness, compassion, empathy as they make these decisions. I want us to be able to support women versus try to box them and tell them what to do like they are kindergartners. I think it's high time we thought of a different world where women get the chance and the choice to make their decisions. They are smart, they're talented, they will figure it out. Please stop labeling, please stop judging. We're done with that. In the words of Gloria Steinem, don't think about making women fit the world. Think about making the world fit women. Thank you for the opportunity.
Perspectives, all for us to hear. So while I request the judges to kindly start preparing the results, I'll be introducing to you Colonel Pant, Dr. Colonel Chandrasekhar Pant, PSM, is the father of breast imaging in the country and has been a pioneer in starting breast imaging and started his own clinic, which was the first standalone clinic in this country many years ago. He's also a war veteran. In the Indo-Pak War, this gentleman saved more than 100 soldiers and just got a BSN for that. Hats off to this man. He's also a co-chairperson of the forum and a chairman of an NGO called Arohi, which is based out of Mukteshwar. A keen golfer, I present to you, Colonel Pant.
Thank you, Vanita, for such a wonderful introduction. And these ladies are remarkable. They're very exciting debate. Really enjoyed every bit of it. Yeah. Coming back to today's film, We Can Defeat Breast Cancer. Actually, that has been our rallying cry all over. And why this was the name we gave to this film, because you see, as been brought out by Dr. Serene also, that you see, the idea behind making this film was that to tell women that, you know, how prevalent the breast cancer has become, that any woman can be afflicted by it, and early detection can save lives. An important section of the film is to teach breast self-examination. We did this in 3D, probably the first time in the country. We have screened this film in English and in Hindi in many, many diverse groups of women. We found that film plants awareness in their minds and sparks of further discussion. We'll be now screening the film, and I'll request that you please put your feedback in chat box so that we'd love to hear from you. And before I request to start the film, my personal compliment to the Sushmita Sengupta, who is the maker of this film, one of our colleagues, one of our members. She did an exceptionally good job. Thank you, Sushmita, for making us this film. Thank you. Can we have the film, please?
The bad news is that anybody can get breast cancer. The good news is that if detected early, it is fully curable. Hi everyone, welcome to our discussion on breast cancer. My name is Colonel Pan. I'm a breast radiologist. Let me introduce you to the other members of my panel. Dr. Mrs. Serene, a renowned breast surgeon. We have Dr. Bhavna, who is a clinical oncologist with a special interest in breast cancer. We have charming Dipali, who is in her 40s, a lot like you. Sorry, Dipali, I revealed your age. She's most reluctant to get herself screened for breast cancer.
But Dr. Pant, where is the need? I've heard that breast cancer happens to only those people whose mothers or grandmothers suffered from it too. Nobody in my family has it, thank goodness. So why do I need to go for screening?
Family history is only one of the risk factors, Dipali. Age is another big risk factor. Women above the age of 50 are at a higher risk. In addition, if you had your children after the age of 30 or never had children, or if you haven't breastfed your children, your chances of getting breast cancer are higher. If you also started your periods before the age of 12, or if you had your period stopping after the age of 54, or if you have taken postmenopausal hormone, you are at a greater risk. Research has also shown a link between diet, physical inactivity, and obesity.
What is even more worrying is that most women who develop breast cancer do not have any of these risk factors. Many women who develop breast cancer would have no family history of breast cancer. In fact, no woman can ever be sure that she can never develop breast cancer.
But let me stress the fact that early detection is the key to a possible cure. That is why we ask women above the age of 30 to get themselves screened regularly.
Breast self-examination. Observing the breasts. First, stand in front of a mirror so that you can see at least up to your neck and down to your waist. Now, keeping your hands on your hips, look at the size and shape of each breast. If you notice any changes, you need to consult a doctor. But do remember that it is not unusual for one breast to be larger than the other. Look also for any puckering, dimpling, or any other changes in your skin. Now look at your nipples. Is there any change in the position of either nipple? Also, look for any retraction of the nipples or discharge from them. If you have large breasts, lift them up slightly to examine them underneath. Again, look for any changes in the skin here. Now raise your arms over your head and look for similar skin and nipple changes. Continue the examination with your hands clasped behind your neck, pressing them forward and tightening your chest muscles. Finally, place your hands on your hips, press down and in, and look again for any changes in your nipples and skin. Feeling the breasts. Lie down and place a folded towel under your shoulder on the side you're going to examine first. Raise your arm under which you have placed the towel. You may find it most comfortable to place your hand under your head. The area you will examine includes not only your breast, but also the area up to your collarbone, as well as below your breast, across to the breastbone, and over to your armpit. Using the pads of your first 3 fingers, begin to examine your breast using a series of small circular motions, each about the size of a rupee coin. You should use 3 levels of pressure: light, medium, and firm. This way, you can feel the different layers of breast tissue. Using this technique, trace a series of vertical strips moving from the collarbone to below the breast and back up again in zigzags until you cover the entire area. You may also use a technique where you trace a series of concentric circles towards your nipple, or a method where you cover the area through a series of wedges. Use the pattern that you're most comfortable with. But the most important thing is to cover the entire area of the breast. Also, squeeze the nipple gently and see if there is any discharge. If there is any discharge, please see your doctor. Now repeat the entire process on your other side by placing the folded towel under the opposite shoulder.
And if you find any change in the shape of your breast, any skin discoloration, any lump or thickening in your breast or underarm, or any changes in the shape of your nipple like puckering, retraction, or nipple discharge, you must see your doctor immediately.
You know, I've heard people say that cancer is painless, but the treatment kills you.
That's not correct. Why don't we ask some women who have had the first-hand experience of it all?
During chemotherapy, I had nausea, diarrhea, weakness. I also lost my hair. But it all passes. I got my hair back. This is my own hair. And the best thing is, I'm alive. I lead a normal life, a happy and a healthy life.
I was lucky. I went for my mammogram and my tumor was detected at a very early stage. I didn't need chemotherapy. My breast was saved and I was in the hospital just for 1 day.
My only regret is I did not do a self-examination or any form of screening. By the time I was diagnosed, it was late. I had to lose a breast. I had to go through chemotherapy and radiation. The doctor says, had I been diagnosed earlier, I could have saved the breast. I might not have had to go through chemotherapy or radiation. But look, I'm alive, happy, and enjoying my life.
I would like to spread a message that every woman should go for early screening.
Wow, these women are so brave. I thought breast cancer was a death sentence.
Absolutely not. Breast cancer is one of the most curable forms of cancer. Medical science has progressed hugely and research is ongoing to find out better ways to treat breast cancer.
And in early cases, which are diagnosed by a screening mammogram, and with the correct treatment, the cure rate is over 90%. And today, the treatment is quite patient friendly. The patient needs to come to the hospital only for surgery, which also may not be in the form of a mastectomy. Chemotherapy and radiation are done as outpatient procedures. They come to the hospital, receive treatment, and go back home or go to work. And the best treatment is available right here in India.
Is there any way of reducing my chances of getting breast cancer?
You can reduce your risk by improving your lifestyle.
And how can I do that, doctor?
By maintaining a normal weight, eating a healthy diet, and regular exercise. Some risk factors are obesity, a diet rich in fats, and sitting around with no exercise. Junk food is definitely bad for you, even from the cancer perspective.
If possible, women should marry and have their babies before the age of 30. Today, a lot of women delay marriage as well as motherhood in order to pursue a career. It's quite possible to enjoy motherhood as well as a good career.
Remember, breast self-examination once a month after the age of 20, clinical examination once a year after the age of 30, mammogram once in 2 years after the age of 40, and once a year after the age of 50.
And then you can hope to live up to 90.
Request Dr. Neeti Chhabra to take the mic. Neeti is the founder and president of the NGO Yes to Life and a TEDx speaker. Yes to Life is working towards breast cancer awareness and patient support. She is an executive member of the forum. She will introduce today's judge, Ms. Ruchika Panisar. Over to you, Neeti.
Thank you, Sushmita. Good evening, everyone. And it gives me immense pleasure to introduce Ms. Ruchika Panisar. Ruchika is a technologist and global digital leader with over 2 decades of experience in product and platform architecture and engineering. She's a true example of empowered women empower women. Her success mantra is be courageous, exhibit clarity, and act with grace. She says, women in technology are still a rarity today, but we must be open to new things and should try out before saying no. Ruchika emphasizes that some of the vital elements that take individuals and organizations ahead are belief in abundance, acknowledging failures, learning from them and moving on, organizational culture, and the critical role a leader plays to drive cultural agility. Last but not the least is solid mentorship. And Ruchika says, Ma Gordon and her husband are her role models. Thank you, Ruchika, for gracing us with your presence today. And I welcome you to take over the mic.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And it's been quite the pleasure hearing this very, what do I say, fired up group today. And watching that video, I must confess that it was probably after a couple of years that I watched a video about self-examination. And I definitely have a to-do list for this weekend. Okay. So thank you, doctors. And it's been very insightful to hear the debaters today speak, and I've been put into this very difficult position as judge. And first of all, let me say it's a very difficult position, like I said, and I think everyone's done a fabulous job of presenting your own points of views. And let me start by sharing a little bit about myself that hasn't been shared. I am the third daughter of a middle-class engineer. Someone who, while grew up in a fairly progressive household, also grew up with the slight bit of taboo of like, oh, teesri beti ho gayi. And, cultural things that we all go through in especially our country, Southeast Asia, largely. I often was the only woman in a boardroom. I am a abuse survivor and had a failed marriage at the age of 24 with nowhere to go. A lot of people don't know this about me, by the way. I felt very compelled to say this today out loud. Today, I am where I am because of the collective experiences I have gained. I am married to a fantastic and a very warm and kind human being. I live in a joint family with my in-laws. And I also have a toddler, my daughter Arya, who was born from my heart and not from my flesh, by the way, is 15 months old. And I completely feel and agree that family is sacred. Family is sacred. However, right today, as I came downstairs to my office to do this and carry out this engagement, my dear daughter Arya decided that the only two people she wanted around her were her parents. And daddy had to take her for a walk. And that's okay. Because we're equals in partnership. We're equals in this relationship and in parenting. And that's what makes it beautiful. It doesn't make me any less of a nurturer. It doesn't make me any less of a mother or a career person. And that's how I feel, frankly. And I think that each one of us should have the ability to make these choices on our own. Whether it's a choice to be a homemaker and stay at home, or whether it's a choice to pursue a career, whether it's a choiceless choice where there is no choice and you have to keep going and you have to do whatever is the right thing to do to live your life and to be the person that you need to be and live your karma, frankly, and just do the best every day. I agree also that I heard today a lot said about Shakti. And I'm a firm believer of that. I think we women have been blessed with some very beautiful attributes. And our male counterparts have been blessed with very different beautiful attributes. So that's how I feel about it. They have some very, very important and very beautiful attributes, and so do we. I don't want to be selfish and take away being a parent from my husband. He is an equal in everything. And if I'm making a major decision about my child's day even, we exchange notes. I am a very hands-on parent, by the way, believe it or not, even though I play the very important job that I do in my career. And for a very long time, even though when I didn't have my daughter, I felt that the same qualities of nurturing, the same qualities of being Shakti, the same qualities of having clarity and being a multitasker and all of those wonderful things, were important to extend to my team and the people in my community and the people in my environment who depended on me. And, we have an accountability and a responsibility towards this world. I feel very strongly about that each one of us has a moral obligation to the community, to the women after us. I do what I do because I sincerely now feel like I need to leave this place a better and more inclusive world for my daughter Arya. I need to be a better role model for her. And she needs to see that mom and dad both go to work. And she needs to see that mom and dad's careers are both important. And she will grow up with the belief that she is no less. She is no less in any way. She can make the choices that she needs to make in her life when the time comes. And I will always have her back, whether she chooses to, pursue being a homemaker at some point, or pursue a fantastic career. And who's to say what's a homemaker, frankly? Because I do think that my husband is equally a homemaker as I am. When the pandemic struck and somebody spoke a little bit about sharing of responsibilities, I found myself in the usual dilemma women find themselves in. Is, oh, I want to perfect the laundry, and I want to make sure that I cook the breakfast, and I want to make sure that my husband is fed. It doesn't matter whether I'm fed. It doesn't matter that I have a long day. But I wanted to make sure of all of those things, and actually perfectly folded laundry also, by the way, if you're crazy like me, okay? And it has to be tucked in, and it has to be like you have to be perfect at everything. And it just dawned on me. And also my husband, who one of those days that I was completely tired, sat me down and said, you realize you can ask for help. And I was like, of course I know. I know, but I can do this. You realize you're not trying to prove a point. There is nothing to prove. And we're in this together. And teach me how to use the machine. And I did. And he ironed his own shirts. And that's okay. And it's not a big deal. And I think that it's very, very important for us to allow the men in our lives to do that, because it's very selfish of us sometimes to assume that it is only our prerogative, that only we want to be the parent, or only we want to care for others around us and our families, but it's their families too, frankly. So, that's the point of view that I would like to bring to this forum today. And also, like I said, there's different parts of my life where I have prioritized either. I think it's really important to have your non-negotiables in the right place and know, I think someone made the point about, what is it that you will regret? And every time I'm faced with a dilemma like this, I really think about what are my non-negotiables. I have excused myself from meetings when my daughter suddenly is crying. I've done that. I have excused myself and said, hey, I need to come back. I need to go. Because I can hear her crying, or I've seen it on the baby cam, and I just need to rush. And I need to be with her because that's what feels like the right thing for me in that moment. And if I don't do it, I'll be a miserable person in a meeting who's not being attentive anymore. But it's our responsibility as corporate citizens, as citizens of this community, citizens of this world, to honestly make this world a much more equitable place for generations to come. And frankly, that's the biggest message that I want to leave with all of you today. And I'll stop there because I also don't want to keep going on this. I can keep going till tomorrow if you allow me, given the passion on the subject. But it's been a pleasure, absolute pleasure. And I must again say, each one of you have done an incredible job of sharing your points of views. And I found a lot of depth in each one's point of view. So thank you for the rich conversation, and best of luck.
Thank you, Ruchika, for being so candid in sharing your life story with us, and for such inspiring thoughts, and for such a fresh and well-needed perspective. May I now call upon Anjali Sapra to take the mic. Anjali is an artist with myriad interests. She is actively involved in the culinary arts, especially using seasonal produce. She is also a keen gardener and a car rallist. She's a volunteer counselor for breast cancer patients and an executive member of the forum. She will introduce today's judge, Mr. Amit Jain. Over to you, Anjali.
Good evening, everyone. It's a privilege for me to introduce Mr. Amit Jain, co-founder of Nifty Kera. Amit hails from Kusabal, Maharashtra. He lost his father in infancy And as he grew, he realized the challenges faced by his mother and her struggle to raise her children. While his grandfather opened a tailoring shop for his mother and relatives helped the bereft family survive, it was difficult for the young widow who envisioned life for her children. In fact, Amit had to sacrifice his dream of becoming an engineer for lack of funds. Deeply affected by his mother's hardships and his own experience of growing up fatherless, he was determined to ensure a better life for such families who had no means of livelihood. As he had received a lot of support from various people throughout his life, he wanted to give that forward, and this determination led to the founding of Mitti Ke Rang. In addition to providing support and training to women entrepreneurs, Mitti Ke Rang started a community center and conducts reading lessons for uneducated widows, their children, and senior citizens from low-income backgrounds. Mitti Ke Rang has turned the COVID crisis into an opportunity for several women entrepreneurs. Within a year of starting an e-commerce platform for women entrepreneurs, it managed 5,281 orders in 2021. It onboarded more than 200 plus women entrepreneurs from 25 states in India and shipped to more than 250 plus cities and 5 countries. His vision continues to evolve and expand. Truly, in the words of C.S. Lewis, hardships often prepare ordinary people for extraordinary destiny. And now, thank you, Amit, for being with us today. May I request you to address our audience?
Yeah, so firstly, thank you so much for inviting. It's been like a pleasure to be with all the dignitaries over here. All the viewpoints are pretty amazing because, it's the first time wherein we got to know the two point of view and both of them very pretty promising. But definitely for me, I would rather start with, I'm here today because my mom, as you said, my grandfather opened a shop for my mom, and due to which we are able to survive, and I'm where I am. So definitely, women, if it can get employed, livelihood, and if can be educated, I think a family can be built up, and with that, I'm able to, or we are able to, support so many families. Well, how it started? Well, I come from Bhusawal, a town, lost my father, and being a single parent child, you tend to be rebellious. And I just joke around, like in 9th standard, I scored highest in geometry, which was 0, because I was very rebellious at that time and I don't just study. After 10th, the only option which comes is science. So I took science, somehow cleared that, came to Pune to do engineering, but again, with the fees are pretty high, so I have to go back to my hometown and take BCom. So in 2012, after my BCom degree, I came to Pune. Someone told me, okay, you can get a job with the BCom degree, just a small job. So I thought, let's try. So I came here with 1,000 rupees because we weren't that good at that time. After a month struggle, luckily I got a job at the Bank of New York, and my mom came to Pune after some time, and we were like, our entire life was being supported by someone. Like, I remember all my birthdays, gifts were given by my cousins, t-shirts and everything. Grandfather opened a shop. So our entire life has been given by some or the other person. So it's time to give back. That's how we actually evolved into Mitti Ke Rang. We started very small. In 2013, when we started with collection of clothes, books and everything, because we found a gap key, people want to donate something and people want something. So we become a mediator. We started that and never thought at that time that I'll be taking Mitti Ke Rang full time today. At that time for me, job was pretty like important. Money was very important, but we just kept going. And the way we kept improvising, then I met my co-founder Saket Deshmukh. And in 2019, I love backpacking. So I was coming back to Pune. I told my family that my company is kicking me out, mujhe job se nikal rahe, because I know they will never agree to the fact that I want to take Mitti Ke Rang full time. Now, why I did this? Because, when we trained women entrepreneurs in Pune center to make paper bags and all those products, either I had option to take Mitti Ke Rang full time or leave my job or take my job. So I just thought, let's give it a try. Let's try, because, I've been supported by so many people. So I took that pledge and we sold 52,000 candles in 2019. A very small story, because that is what we have been talking about, why women should be empowered with livelihood and opportunities. When we started training women entrepreneurs tea light candles, in 40 days, we sold 52,000 candles in Diwali. The family members were against them, that, you're doing wrong, you're just wasting your time, don't do this. But when we sold this many candles, each women entrepreneur were able to earn 17,000 rupees in each bank account. After that, the family became a biggest cheerleader for them, that you are doing it right, do it more. Because we did walk the talk. We just did talk theoretically. And after that, I thought again, it's time to backpack because I wanted to unlearn everything. I started backpacking across India for 80 cities, 80, with 17,500 rupees because I'm a backpacker, like, budget traveler. In the entire journey, we did a lot of women entrepreneurs meet up in rural part, urban part, common problems which came out that they want to do something, but the tech, the platform is a big challenge. Then I spoke to my co-founder that we already have a platform. Let's open for entire India. Wherein then COVID stuck in. And in 2021, we started onboarding. Everything was new for us, but luckily the team was pretty good. And in 1 year time, as she said earlier, we were able to cross like 50 lakh rupees revenue for the entrepreneurs, 5,000 plus orders across India, couple of countries. It was pretty roller coaster ride. But now when we look back, it's such an overwhelming feeling for us because entrepreneurs are able to earn so much. And again, a very small story, one ragi laddu, millet laddu, what we eat, we were able to sell 20 lakh rupees laddu in the last 7 to 8 months. So in Mittikaran, we tried to support one women entrepreneur because she got so many orders. She actually employed more women. So it's a ripple effect. So to conclude, now we're gonna be also raising grants for the women entrepreneurs to build capacity. And in the entire journey, what I've learned, because it's been 8 years for Mittikaran, I'll end this with a note that because my mom was been opened a tailoring shop, cousins supported us, due to which we are where we are and we are able to support so many women entrepreneurs. And everybody asked me, Amit, why only women? Because again, I'll repeat, I am the example. If a woman can get empowered, if she can get educated, or an opportunity for that matter, or a helping hand, you can change so many lives. So with that note, thank you so much.
Introducing the Bali cuisine. She's a food and travel writer, a social media influencer, and a theatre artist. Most important, she's an executive member of our forum. Over to you, Deepan.
Our chief guest has already been spoken earlier by Dr. Bhavna Nasti. In addition to exemplary work in medical molecular genetics, which has led to major improvements in the diagnosis and treatment of inherited disorders, Dr. Meena Upadhyay has many attributes and honors to her credit. She devotes much of her time to women in ethnic minority communities. She's the founder of Ethnic Minority Welsh Achievement Association and Ethnic Minority Women in Welsh Healthcare. Dr. Upadhyay has made a difference to people's lives through her medical research and her extraordinary community and charity work. In the year 2016, she was honored with the OBE, Officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, by the Queen, a rare honor bestowed on women and of Asian origin. She is also the recipient of the highest Welsh award, St. David Award for Innovation, Science and Technology. She was awarded an honorary fellowship by the University of Wales, Trinity, St. David in 2017, the fellowship of the Learned Society of Wales in 2018, and an honorary professorship in medical genetics by Amrita University, Canada in 2020. It is such a pleasure and honor to have you with us, Dr. Meena Upadhyay, OBE. I kindly request you now to address the gathering.
Thank you very much, Deepali, for your very kind words. First of all, I'm honored to be here. I would like to thank all the speakers, in particular Mahima, Namrata, Pragati, and Shilpa, for your powerful and engaging and stimulating debate. I also thank Ruchika for your inspiring and insightful talk. And to Amit, you are a role model, and the work which you are doing is incredible. It was a privilege to listen to many thoughtful arguments for and against the motion, and I thoroughly value your views. I can speak volumes for and against the motion, as both aspects are important and resonate with my life journey. The topic of this debate, a woman's family must always come first, incites gender discrimination and bias. This month, we celebrate International Women's Day, which recognizes and promotes outstanding contributions of women and promotes gender equality. The theme for this year is Break the Bias. Breaking the bias means a world that is diverse, fair, and inclusive, a world that is free of prejudices and stereotypes, a world in which women and girls are empowered and celebrated. It is high time that in the 21st century, a husband and wife share their duties and responsibilities in equal measure, so that their families and their careers are not disadvantaged. There are a lot of expectations from women. Mothers are much more likely than fathers to report experiencing significant career interruptions to attend their family's needs. While women represent nearly half of the workforce in the developing countries, they still put in more hours on average to housework and childcare and fewer hours to paid work. Notably, more women happen to be in the 0-hour contract employment. There are still stereotypes around women. They are expected to excel in washing, cleaning, raising children, and handling the whims of the family. I've done all this in the last 50 years, and I would be honest to admit that I found these tasks challenging, because I always felt that there was life beyond routine chores of cooking and cleaning. Being both a career woman and a mother is attainable. It requires smart planning and adequate support. No hard and fast rule can be applied. It all depends on how much support is available, that is family support, partner support, and professional support. It also depends on the nature of work you are involved with, how many hours you are expected to inject into your work, and your time management skills. Many women are happier when they are offered an opportunity. They are good at multitasking and they achieve fulfillment by efficiently organizing their work. However, when a woman is in a senior post, inevitably, she may struggle to give sufficient time to her family, and this is where the family support is critical. I remember it was challenging for me to bring up a daughter as a single parent in a foreign country without any family support. Each day, I would drop my daughter at school at 9 o'clock in the morning. I had to plan my work efficiently so that I can take a break at 3 p.m. to collect my daughter from school. On many occasions, I took her back to my lab to complete my experiments. Many a times, my daughter was kept waiting outside the school because I couldn't be there in time. My heart broke when I saw her in tears. In those days, we did not have breakfast or after school clubs. It goes without saying that, like many parents, the childcare during the school holidays proved to be a nightmare for me. My work involved international travel, which meant I had to ask my friends to look after my daughter, and my departure was always very unsettling for both of us, as was the time when we were away from each other. I missed many of her milestones' birthdays because I was traveling. It was painful when I had to prioritize my work over my daughter. And in reality, that happens with many women, many working women. Despite all the misgivings, I'm very pleased. I'm very proud of my daughter. She qualified as a medical doctor, then went on to do an MBA from the Imperial College in London, and excelled in pharmaceutical research in the city. I'm also very proud of her that she has a 12-year-old daughter and she has taken a career break to look after her. And she tells me that she doesn't want her daughter to have the same difficulties as she had to, as she suffered from. As a BME professor in medical genetics at a Russell Group University, I managed to break the glass ceiling, but found myself hanging from the glass cliff because of lack of support. It was an uphill task to survive in a male-dominated environment. I had to work twice as hard to be recognized. However, I'm fortunate that I have some supportive and understanding colleagues. So I understand with Pragati's view when she mentioned about, let me just go there. Yes, she mentioned about her views on how important it is to look after children, and I would fully support that, because I feel very guilty that I did not have enough time to look after my daughter. And I think it has had a long-term impact on her life. I can see that because I used to leave her at home when she was about 9 years old, and she used to be in the house by herself whole day when I was working. That was very cruel on my part, and I do regret. A working mother has to face challenges both at home and also at work. That could have ripple effect on her family and her work colleagues. Sadly, women are underrepresented in senior positions, especially in senior leaderships and in decision-making positions, despite representing 50% workforce in certain sectors. We must support women and promote gender equality and diversity, prevent violence against women and girls, so the world is a better place for everybody. My message for 2022 International Women's Day is: life is an adventure. There will be ups and downs. Be resilient and determined. Never give up. When we face with challenges, you are stronger than you think. And I would like to finish with an inspirational quote from Michelle Obama. No country can ever truly flourish if it stifles the potential of its women and deprives itself of the contributions of half of its citizens. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Meena, for those inspiring words. There is so much we can all learn from your life, struggle, and news. And now we arrive at the moment that we all have been waiting for with bated breath. I will now request Sushmita Sengupta to announce the results.
Well, I think everybody was a winner in a way. Everyone scored very well. And since we have to have a winner, the judges have announced that they think that the best speaker, the best debater was Shilpa Banerjee. Congratulations, Shilpa. And we really enjoyed listening to you and listening to everybody else, actually. It has been a very interesting evening. And finally, I would like to turn to Renuka Prasad to take the mic.
And I must say at the onset itself that it has been a very, very invigorating evening for all of us, especially the women power that is there, which has been enhanced because of the way every speaker has expressed and expressed across the board, right from the chief guest to the speakers who were there. So I'm really happy that we had such a wonderful chief guest with us in Dr. Meena Upadhyay, who spoke from her heart. And it was a pleasure and a real privilege to have you with us here this evening. And your thoughts were really inspiring. Our thanks also go out to both Mrs. Ruchika Panesar and Mr. Amit Jain, the judges, for taking the time out of the busy schedule and being the judges for this debate. It's really much appreciated by everybody. We are very grateful to our debaters, all four of them, Mahima Bhatnagar Tyagi, Shilpa Banerjee, Namrata Murthy, and Pragati Sharma for accepting our invitation to be the debaters. I can say without a doubt that the audience truly enjoyed listening to each one of you and the thoughts that were expressed by you. From my colleague in the forum, my thanks go out to Dr. Bhavna Awasthi, who took the lead in organizing the debate and worked tirelessly to make it a success. We are thankful to Karuna Sharma, the backbone of the forum, who takes year after year looking at each detail, and we keep turning to her constantly. Thanks are also due to Sapna Singh, who cheerfully assists us in the technicalities behind having such a Zoom event. We are grateful to Shushmita Sen Gupta, who makes all our educational films and who helped in the content generation for today's event. We truly appreciate the guidance and the encouragement given to us by the president of the forum, Dr. Ramesh Sareen, and she is the force that really drives us. Her energy and commitment to the cause of breast cancer is really admirable. And Dr. Colonel Pant, who is the pillar of success, of strength to all of us. He is always there to give us absolute good advice and helps us to solving all our problems. Our heartfelt gratitude to you for your help this evening and for your unstinted support that you give us each and every time. Many thanks to the executive members for their help and the assistance. And actually speaking, we do make a very good team. Finally, my heartiest congratulations to the winner of the debate, Shilpa Banerjee, who spoke from her heart, as did all the other speakers also. And finally, a million thanks to each one of you of the audience who took out precious time to be with us here this evening. Thank you ever so much on behalf of the Breast Cancer Forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Renuka, and thanks to everybody who's listening, who's been here with us this evening. It's been a wonderful evening for us, and I hope that we will be able to organize some more in the near future, and we'll keep you all informed. Thank you and good evening.